Welcome to the final video of refinishing 18 nightstands in an assembly line. If you haven't been following along already, I sourced 18 mismatched nightstands to refinish in an assembly line to see how profitable furniture flipping can be if you're really efficient. I have already refinished a batch of 3 white nightstand sets, 3 black nightstand sets, and in this video I will be refinishing 3 sets in faux wood because I want to know what color furniture sells the best and for the most money. In this video, I will be showing you 3 different techniques for applying Retique It Liquid Wood. To make this random, I spun a wheel to figure out which nightstands would be white, black, and faux wood. And the final 3 are faux wood, which is sets 7, 8, and 9. Set number 7, I sourced at a warehouse for $100. For set number 8, I sourced 1 nightstand at a thrift store for $13 and 1 nightstand at the warehouse for $25. Set number 9, I sourced at the warehouse for $25 each, $50 total. When I went to remove the trim on these sets to make them match up a little bit better, there were still some nails that I couldn't quite get out, so I just trimmed them down with the multi-tool. To update the outdated trim on this piece, I just replaced it with something a little bit more simple. This will especially make a big difference to the overall design because I'm doing faux wood. It's going to have a lot of texture already in the finish, so a simple piece of trim just looks a lot cleaner. I knew I wanted to change the hardware placement on this piece because it reminded me of a smiley face, so I went ahead and just filled in that entire design with Bondo. As far as the other 2 sets, I didn't do any modifications to the design because I already liked the way that it looked, so all I did to those was clean and scuff sand them. I learned that you can spray the Retique It Liquid Wood Primer, which was an absolute game changer because it makes the process so much faster. But don't forget to filter it because this stuff can get clumpy if it's already been opened. I used the dark wooden primer for my base and I actually really love the tone of it. It really is a perfect natural wood looking color. Now these next 2 sets really put this wooden primer to test because I had exposed particle board as well as a laminate top, and it did a great job of sealing it off and creating a completely uniform texture. And on top of that, I did not see any bleed through even though 1 set had dark stain. As far as the qualities I look for in a good primer, I rate this a 10 out of 10. At this point of my assembly line series, I was nearing the end, but really starting to struggle mentally to keep on going. It's about halfway through week 3 on this project, and I have to be honest, I'm really getting burnt out and tired, and like I'm so close to the finish line at this point, but I've taken a half day like every day this week. I'm just feeling exhausted and unmotivated and like lethargic, but I just gotta power through it. I just finished doing my first coat of the Retique It Liquid Wood Primer and I'm really happy with it. I have to be honest, I was a little bit worried that it wasn't going to stain block or like adhere well to that laminate, and it is performing very well. So I'm gonna do another coat of the Retique primer, and then I'm gonna go in and do a couple different stain colors. Retique It has two different finishes you can choose from depending on whether you get the gel stain or the wooden stain, and the gel stain is what I'm using here, and it is referred to as the smooth finish kit, so it doesn't leave texture quite like the wooden stain does. I played around a little bit with the decking brush and a rag here, but ultimately decided to just go with the brush strokes so that I have that textured grain look. I know that dark wood stain has been becoming increasingly popular lately, so I've been really looking forward to trying this dark oak color over the dark wooden primer. Because I had nice weather this day, I had quite a long working time for this product, so I just covered the surface and then came back and created those long, even brush strokes. If you're using this product on a very hot day, I'd recommend being much more particular, taping off your sections and only applying it in plank size sections. I've just accepted the fact that this is not going to be perfect, and maybe somebody will like a rustic looking wood finish. It's not me, but it might sell. One thing about me is the more tired I get while I'm working is that the sloppier my work gets. So I think it's really important when I have days like last night that I stop working early rather than like risking a little bit of a sloppier finish. Normally, I honestly would probably go back and redo this set, but for the sake of being efficient, I'm just going to trust the process that, you know, somebody will like this sort of rustic looking finish, even though it just doesn't feel as perfect as I would like it to be. I'm just going to accept that is okay. It's going to be okay. I'm looking at it in the daylight and I just like miss this huge spot. I'm like, don't know what I was thinking. I don't know, I'll just put like rustic or antique or something in the title. It is what it is, you know? I definitely went too heavy on the top. I think for the next wood set, what I'm gonna do is go a little bit lighter and apply it with a sock in kind of like the white back motion. I honestly think that this would be a good opportunity for me to try out all of the different Retique techniques and kind of see which is my favorite. It also kind of drives me nuts that I was a little sloppy with the prep work here, and you can see the faint outline of the previous design, but if you stand far enough back, the set looks pretty good. Yeah, I really just think the biggest downfall to working like this is that it's hard to be really meticulous. I like to take extreme detail and care of my pieces, and I just have found that I've been being a little bit sloppier than normal. For good reason. I mean, I'm tired. I am tired. For this next set, I think I'm gonna do the pecan finish. So after my frustrations last night, I went and watched a couple of Retique tutorials on their Instagram, and I saw that she was applying the smooth gel stain with a sock. So I think I'm gonna try that out, but I don't want to get the stain all over my hand. So I'm gonna brush it on and then wipe it back with the sock and see how that does. I can't tell if it looks better just because it's a lighter color or if it's the sock. So it seems like the less color variation you have between your stain and your primer is gonna be the easiest to work with and the most beginner friendly. There's just a lot less room for error because if you have any streakiness, it's not gonna be super obvious. Now that I've done, 3 full nightstands, it seems like covering the whole surface with the brush allows you to really control how much product you're putting on. So you're gonna get the whole surface covered and then come back with the sock and wipe off the excess. And my sock is gonna be slightly damp still because I don't want the product to pull because that's when you really get those streaky marks. So I would not use a dry sock. And again, this is not, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. This is just what seems to be working for me. This is my voice from the future laughing because it looked fine the first time. So using the wooden stain primers, you're going to have a lot more texture where you can actually feel the wood grain. This is why the graining tool is really cool and makes it super realistic. The other thing about the wooden stain that's so great is that you can keep on layering coats until you get the color that you really wanted. So I used the color Barnwood for my grain and it was just way too contrasting for what I was going for. So then I went back in with a layer of the pickled oak and I forgot to record it, but then I did another layer of the Barnwood to get a more neutral finish. Because nightstands are such high traffic surfaces, I decided to go in with a top coat on all of them, which was pretty convenient honestly because I was able to spray all 6 nightstands at once. I'm so close to the finish line, but all I want to do is just quit. I've had such low motivation the whole last third of this project. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean everything up and maybe that'll help clear my mind a little bit and Can do my finishing touches and get things staged. Hallelujah. Finally got my knobs in the mail. Ooh, those are not what I expected. I was trying to find knobs to match this champagne bronze hardware, and I mean, they're pretty close, but I could always put rub and buff to make them match a little better. I changed my mind and decided to go with this adjustable hardware instead, just because those holes don't line up and this would be faster. But they're a little bit more modern than I would have liked on these nightstands, so I'm just kind of using this Spanish copper again to make it look a little bit more aged. Oh, I never thought staging could be so exhausting. The set that I used with the wood graining tool actually ended up being a very forgiving finish. There was a couple little areas that I didn't do perfectly, but it just blended in so nicely, and I love the way that they turned out. I think that this neutral lighter wood finish is actually still highly sought after, simply because it's pretty close to that Pottery Barn dupe style finish that everybody's always talking about. For the set that I did the smooth pecan finish on, I don't think the stain I chose was quite contrasting enough to go over that dark wooden primer. Nonetheless, I still think that these were a great transformation and they pair together very nicely despite having different designs. I think next time I'll try the dark pecan stain. And last but not least, out of all 18 nightstands, this was probably the ugliest set to begin with. And now it is definitely in my top 3 favorites out of all the nightstands, from a design perspective at least. Now, this faux wood technique was the final batch of my assembly line series, and I have to be honest, I was getting very tired and sloppy at the end. This is a technique that really takes a lot of care and precision if you want it to look perfect. So I'm not 100% happy with some of the way that these turned out. Specifically set number 9. I think that the dark oak color is absolutely stunning, but I did mess up a little bit and not fully fill in that design that great. So that's something that I factored into the price. For set number 7, because they are such large nightstands and a perfect match, I priced it $400. For set number 8, I also wasn't super happy with this one either. I don't know what it is. It's just like the color I chose wasn't contrasting enough, and I don't think that they have enough texture. But again, I'm just being picky probably. Anyways, that set's not that huge either, so I priced it at $325. And set number 9, the dark oak, I also priced at $325. These are smaller nightstands and they have some imperfections that have to factor into the price. One other thing that I will note about the faux wood nightstands is that the materials cost more money. The Retique It primer, a quart. I use an entire quart, which is pretty good, honestly, because I got all of them covered with one quart, but it is $70. I definitely think it's an amazing product and worth it, but we will see in the next video if that $70 was worth it with the final selling price. Now you can probably do the math and figure out the profit breakdown for yourself, but I want you to come back for the next video to see the actual final results of the profit breakdown and which nightstand sold for the most and the fastest. The thing I am most excited about is to know what color furniture sells the best. Thanks for watching, and please make sure you hit that subscribe button because you're not going to want to miss the last video. I love you.